So about the animals, I think we should.
Yes, that's page 18.
18, yeah.
Yes, the discussion points, is it?
Discussion points, yeah. And as far as I remember, we didn't discuss the third picture. So let's take it. Please take the first one.
Yes. Describe the person activity. So from what I can see, I see a man walking his donkey. Judging from his clothing, I'd say he lives in a village, and he isn't an office worker or
a businessman.
Yes, or businessman or a doctor. Yes, so he might not be rich, and as far as I can see from the background, the photo was probably taken in in a very where people use firewood wood to keep themselves warm. And this donkey is a beast of burden, and the man uses it as a what's it, the
Carrier.
The carrier, yes, to help them.
Labor force.
Yes, the labor force, yes, to help them carry some of the branches of the tree, which will probably be used to set a fire. Okay, what can you say about the third photograph?
Well, just you're absolutely right. This man could be a peasant, not a businessman, not a worker, an office worker, not a politician, just anything like this. And of course, in his daily life, he uses beasts of burden to survive. But I consider it as a good cooperation there. But I would like to draw your attention to the contrast in this picture, because on the one hand, we can see some peasant and rural life in the form of this man with his donkey, and on the other hand, we can see a very even road, some cars, and the tourist spot, I think. And so there is a contrast between the rural life and the modern, maybe part of the city life, and tourists are driven to the attraction place to, to go swimming, go fishing, and just to see the landscape, to enjoy the landscape. And so there is a contrast between the part of this life and part of that life. So, but mostly I agree with you that some people even nowadays use beasts of burden for everything, for food, provision, for fur, for fire, to carry firewood, to I don't know, to get milk, to get meat, and the stuff like this. And it's the part of their life, and it's the very vital part of their life. So, yeah. Just I think we have shared the ideas about that. So,
what different aspects of relationship between man and animals are illustrated by the three photographs is question C. That's interesting. Yeah, yes. I like how they chose the photographs because they cover. No, okay. They cover, I'd say, 3 out of 4 kinds of relationship between man and animals. The one that's left out, just as I'd say, is the one when we have animals as our pets, not doing anything to them. But here, these animals, all three of them, are not pets or yes, so they're not there just to have fun, and the people in these three photographs are using the animals for their own benefit. They either use the animals' ability to perform some tasks for them, as in picture 3, or they use the animals as a source of food and clothing, picture 1. And the second picture shows us how men use animals to I'm trying to think of a bigger picture. They use animals in place of people to try things on them, but not on real people.
Medical experiments, you mean?
Yeah. Yes. I thought of experience, but as I said, I was trying to kind of look at the bigger picture. So the relationship, right?
Medical researchers
uses, yes. So the scientists use animals. They replace people with animals. This is how I would put it, for their own, well, they say for the good of other people.
Yeah, it makes sense. Really, it makes sense if we think of that. Whether it makes sense or not, I think it makes sense. Just we could be less humanitarian if we would use, for example, rats and cats and dogs and chimpanzees, if we wouldn't use these animals instead of people, and if we would use people instead of animals. So I think it would be really crazy to do so. Of course, animals, just even I cannot think of the way out, how to avoid the situation, because they are close relatives and their DNA is close to ours and so on and so, especially in pigs we can see, and I know that these are operations, surgical operations, when some organs of humans could be replaced with the organs of pigs, and really they can survive and they can live on with these organs. For example, kidneys. Now, kidneys are absolutely suitable to be replaced and to be replaced from pigs and be sewn into the man's place where the kidneys used to be. Yes, of course, it makes sense. But I know, as far as I know, that they grow these animals up in laboratory conditions, and they don't hunt for them, at least don't hunt in the wild. Chimpanzees and rats and other animals they are grown up in laboratory conditions, so they don't kill them in the wild. That's why it could be presumably available and justified in some aspect, of course. But actually, from my feelings, just inner feelings, just I'm against this experiment. I'm against all these experiments that really lead to murdering and killing animals, or at least to inflict them pain or something, or replace organs and so on. And so, of course, as a human, I'm really against that. But who knows? I cannot really invent anything just in replacement of this. But also, I consider that the best way to deal with and treat animals is to cooperate with them, like in the third picture, where a man provides food, protection, and some vet treatment in case the donkey needs, in exchange for help, of course, as a carrier, as a beast of burden, as maybe some in some other way. So I think this is the best way, of course. And I may think of dogs and horses that also can a human being in some other things. For example, to go from one place to another on the back of the horse in one case, and to use dogs as the protective means when they protect our house from wolves, from foxes, from other attacks. So it makes sense really to keep these animals and to be cooperative with them.
As you were talking, you said that it might be difficult to find a substitute for laboratory animals, and I remembered I read trying to think. I've just okay, here it is. I just read this article. It is in Russian. Just know it. I'm like screening to tell the details. So a university in France, the medical department students suggested to use virtual tables, anatomage, probably the French. So the virtual tables to lessen the number of laboratory animals used for experiments and studies. So this anatomy table, as it's called, can save up to 10% of animals who were previously used in this work. And they say that on the national level, it would save thousands of lives of animals every year. And so what is this table? How it works? It is, it looks as a large, like
moulage.
Well, actually, yes, it is. From what I see, it looks, yes, like an A-pod, maybe a large one. It shows the body of a person or an animal from different sides. You can cut, препарировать. Is there a special word for it?
I don't know.
Prepare, to make a preparation. Dissect. Let's use this one, right? I think. Dissect. So you can, quote unquote, dissect this person on this table unlimited number of times, studying most of the known diseases or whatever conditions that can be. So it's rather interesting how they are trying to find a substitute for, well, in this case, as far as I understand, it's more about not the experiments, but the studying part of it, to see how it works on the inside, and if there is some kind of a disease or condition, what it would look like and how to treat it. But still, if these tables, as they're called, are introduced widely, it could be at least partly a solution to the problem of laboratory animals, don't you think?
Yes, a very interesting idea, really. I've seen such moulages, but with the human bodies. Once I read an article about this making preparations for human beings' organs. I could see these moulages and these tables with human bodies, but I have never thought of using this for the substitute for the laboratory animals in order to make research, to make experiments. For that medical students as well. Yes, a good idea, really, a good idea, very sensitive, and of course we should think of that, and not me, not you, of course, but the people who are responsible for that, maybe medical authorities and scientists as well. Just we've got a lot of research institutions, and we should, I think, give them the task to do such tables, such sort of, drafts, like the animals' bodies to be constructed as the technical material for studying. Yeah, a good idea, really. Just if we think of that, of course, we can think, and we can come up with a solution, really, and it will work this way.
Yes, but then just a side note, you know how people say that some professions can never be, like in some professions or areas of work, people can never be substituted by robots or technology. And again, it's not connected directly to the question of animals, but then again, it might be the case that in some areas we will never be able to find an adequate substitution.
Especially if we are working on the problems of psychological health, of course. We should hire the group of people to be tested on, and to put some experiments on, because no animals, no other just creatures can substitute people there. Yes, I agree. Some psychological issues and psychological diseases, for example. Yeah, of course, we should study and do experiments, not in the laboratory conditions, but in the fields, in some clinics, psych clinics, and so on. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes we need only people to be tested. Okay, so let's go ahead.
The most common examples of relationship
between man and urban technology and societies. Choose from the following categories. What are the most common examples of relations between man and animal in tribal cultures, for example? Yeah, in tribal cultures, of course, it's the dominant submissive relations. When even worse, if a person is a hunter and he's a member of some tribe, of course, his target is to hunt for an animal, at least, and an animal is a prey there. It's their relations, and they are unavoidable because of the cultural way of development, because of the environmental problems there. So they don't have enough food, and they cannot go to the shop and buy something what they need, and so they should take it out of the nature. So dominant submissive relations between them and someone. Of course, if a hunter is weaker than his prey, he can at least this relations are equal. So I hunt for you, but you can hunt for me as well. You can attack me, you can kill me, you can harm me, but when you have some weapons, of course, it's the other stage of development, and of course, in this stage, animals are absolute prey, but sometimes they attack and they kill people as well. But it's their role. It's their role in the nature to kill someone if they are wild. I think so. What do you think?